Well, Mark Cuban is a billionaire, owns the Dallas Mavericks, is one of the lead investors on the show Shark Tank, so he has some credibility in trying to forecast the future of the economy. He's recently warned that the next 10 years will see more economic disruption than the last 30 have, which is saying a lot. And he says that artificial intelligence will create the world's first trillionaire, in addition to eliminating an awful lot of jobs. We sat down with him to talk about the future of work in America. Here it is. You really believe that we're going to see an economic upheaval because of robotics and AI?
No question. You know, we're going through an evolution in technology. It used to be you told computers what to do, and they followed your instructions, they followed your algorithms, and gave you the answer. Now you tell computers what to do, and then they start to generalize and start to create new answers. It used to be that they were descriptive, then they were a little bit predictive. Now they're becoming prescriptive, and that ability to learn and generalize and be prescriptive is changing everything.
So what does it mean for workers? What does it mean for employment? I mean, the obvious outcome seems to be a lot fewer people with jobs. Do you think that's what's going to happen?
I think in the short term, yes. I think there's going to be quite a bit of displacement. If you work for software rather than software working for you, you're probably at risk. If you're doing repetitive, if your job is repetitive and you're doing the same thing over and over in short bites, your job is definitely at risk. When machines get a little bit smarter, and I'm not talking about a Terminator type world, but just smart enough to do repetitive tasks, then those jobs are going to be replaced. And the same issue applies with robotics.
So you've already seen, obviously, the people in the industrial economy are out of work and have been for a while. You're about to watch truck drivers, lorry drivers, taxi drivers go out of business because of self-driving cars. What's the next group of professions that's going to be eliminated by technology, do you think?
Customer service, people who do repetitive things, you know, ticket takers, receptionists. I mean, just the more simplistic the job. And I don't mean to denigrate someone's profession. That's really not where I'm trying to get at. But the more repetitive the job, the simpler it is to replace.
So the service economy is what you're saying, the thing that we are supposed to be based on.
In a lot of respects, yeah.
Right. So you've got about a third of the American population not working already. Massive numbers of people sitting out. If you increase that, I mean, the political ramifications of that could be really consequential.
Enormous. Yeah,
right. So why are we accelerating it? The government actually pays for some of the research that is bringing this about. Why is the government doing that? Why should it be doing that?
Because you have no choice. Because guys like me are going to push technology no matter what. I don't need government subsidies. I don't ask for government subsidies, but I'm still going to push the technology envelope because, you know, that's what I do. That's the American way. And I'll create a lot of jobs on the way, but potentially there's going to be disruption. You can't try to be a Luddite, and I'm not saying you are, but you can't try to hold back progress. Because the last thing we want, and we're seeing this already a little bit in robotics, you don't want a foreign power, you don't want another country taking the lead in the areas of artificial intelligence and telling us what we can do and defining, because we're seeing that in robotics already. We're not the leader in robotics. And I wrote a blog post saying that rather than just trying to make our roads a little nicer, make our bridges safer, which are needed, we should be spending money to build infrastructure. Just like the president said that he was giving money to NASA, and that was important, and I agree. But we also need to invest in robotics. We don't want to be dictated to in how we deal with manufacturing. We want to take the lead and see where we can take it.
Well, that seems fair. I wonder, though, as you point out, this is going to result in an even greater migration of wealth into a smaller number of hands, a trend that we've seen in progress in the past 15 years. But where's the obligation on the part of the people benefiting to everyone else? I mean, Henry Ford paid $5 a day to workers at the height of the Depression, not because he had to, but out of noblesse oblige. The modern tech class gives less to charity, cares less about its workers, it seems to me as an observer, than any group of moguls in American history. Why is that? And shouldn't that change?
Well, I don't know if I agree with that. I don't have data one way or the other. But here's what I've suggested. I've suggested rather when you've laid off somebody from a job, not only do you, retrain them, and there's uncertainty attached with that because we don't know what to retrain people for. I think in 10 years, a liberal arts major is going to be more valuable than a programming major is today. But that's a different issue. But I think when you're transitioning people from the old school jobs to what can be done, or even if you can hire them, rather than just paying them, I think, you know, they should be paid in stock. And because dealing with income inequality, cash doesn't do it when you're investing at 2% interest rates. Cash doesn't do it when you don't know how to invest in the stock market. But if you retain equity, I think there's value there, and you can participate just like the owners of the company do. Look, the Fortune 100 companies know this is a problem. Every single one that I've spoken to realize this is a problem, and I know, that's one of the reasons I've been able to talk to them, because it's a conversation, it's an issue we all know we need to solve and deal with.
Well, amen. I'm with you on that. Mark Cuban, thanks a lot for that. I appreciate it.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And so Vladimir Putin says the winner in AI controls the world.
Yeah.
China puts together a future plan saying, whoever dominates in AI, and they're subsidizing, Tencent, Alibaba, etc.
Yeah.
Right. And
that's right.
They
know it's a race.
It is a race. We cut our Office of Technology and Science to one person who was an assistant to Peter Thiel. That's where we stand. So when we talk about infrastructure jobs, robots are built in Germany, and they're getting bought by Chinese companies in some respects, and I think some Japanese companies bought as well. We don't build robots here very well. Right. I just invested in my first robotics company, High Robotics, that puts robots into companies. They're in Kansas City, I think it is now. But they lease and rent and sell robots into all these different types of circumstances to replace people. Right. But I had to learn. I'm not saying it's a good thing or bad thing. It's going to happen with or without me. But I wanted to learn what was going on. Those building up a robotics industry here, investing in our AI industry here, that's the new infrastructure.
Yeah.
Because if we don't do it and China or Russia win those wars, we're SOL.
Right.
We're out of luck, right? And so when we talk about the price of assets going up, if you're hiring, if you're talking about intellectual assets, if you're hiring, like we were just saying, the price is skyrocketing. People are, Montreal has become the center of the universe for computer vision. It's not US-based schools that are dominating any longer in those areas. We've got a lot of smart kids at MIT, all different schools, right? And kids are starting to realize it's a place for them to go. And I'm out there telling people the first trillionaire is going to come from somebody who comes up with something really unique in AI. I was a bartender when I first came to Dallas, got into the PC industry, got fired, started my own company. But I learned early on that there was always something new. And most people didn't put in the time to learn it. It's like now with artificial intelligence. Lots of people talk about artificial intelligence. Lots of people talk about machine learning and neural networks. Not a lot of people are putting in the time to take classes or do the tutorials or to learn how to apply it to business. And that's what it takes. And that's just something I've always enjoyed. So I've been fortunate at that.
Now, wait a minute. Are you doing that with AI right
absolutely.
now? What are you doing?
I've been on Amazon doing the machine learning tutorials. Right now, I'm going through. I've taken Python online classes.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. If you go in my bathroom, there's a machine learning for dummies book. I just started JavaScript neural networks. There's a little tutorial where they've got most of the library, brain.js and all the libraries. And it's not, if you have a background in programming, it's not hard. But I'm not trying to be great at that, but I want to understand it. So I understand all the, the nuanced elements of it and how it works so that I have an advantage.
But where would that take you? Like with your businesses here or the Mavericks or you don't
everywhere.
even know?
It takes me everywhere, right? I mean, there's nothing that AI won't impact. As big as having been around a while, I saw the impact of PCs, then I saw the impact of local area networks, then I saw the impact of wide area networks, then I saw the impact of the internet, then I saw the impact of mobile, then I saw the impact of wireless. Now I'm seeing the impact of artificial intelligence, and it dwarfs any of those things. And if I don't understand how to apply it to my businesses.
So you're building a base of knowledge, and then you think that at some point it's going to pay dividends in terms of...
It already has.
Right?
I mean, if you truly believe AI is going to change everything, how are you going to understand what people are doing to change everything unless you at least have a foundational understanding of it? But I can read that stuff and understand that when somebody says, okay, we're building this project and we need this size data set or this size data set, or we need this amount of resources, I can ask questions and understand the answer. I've spent way too much time teaching myself about machine learning, neural networks, deep learning, writing code, right? Teaching myself Python, just because I want to get a hands-on experience in this, right?
Right.
So when we have a conversation, I may not be able to build all of it, but I can understand,
it.
Yeah, I can understand it. And so when you talk about we went through this transition where we started off with spreadsheets. It was what if, right? So you have all these people here playing what if, and you postulate all these different variables, right? And you build models, and then you have different plugs. Then you look at your models, you compare them to reality, right? But whatever fits on a spreadsheet, and if you get smarter people, they think of better variables, and then you have better probabilities based off of what they plug in when you play what if, right?
Yep.
That's the way you've been doing it since you started. That's the way I've been doing it since I started. What machine language does, it says, okay, we can take a lot more variables than you can ever think of.
Take all of them.
Right, we can take all of them and then say, if this happened, then there's this probability that this will happen. That's only the beginning, right? Then we start getting into something called generative artificial intelligence, where it starts to think, right? And for the most part now, not all the way through, you still have to label everything. Here's all my variables, right? But then when you give it to it and you say, based off of these variables that are labeled as such, here's an unlimited number of opportunities, right? And so based off of this, we're going to create biases and weights for them all and let you come up with some conclusion. Let it give you a variety of conclusions, and then you decide. Going forward, you won't have to label anything, right? But until then, if I wanted to do an analysis of who knows what, right? How to furnish buildings across the world the most cost effectively. And part of it was trying to label anything that can hold water, right? So it's easy to say that's a cup, but you're going to need somebody to say, okay, this is also a receptacle for water in some place that has nothing, right?
Yes.
This can be a receptacle for water, right? Somebody standing with their mouth open. That requires image labeling and variable definition. Those are the types of jobs that are going to be available over the next 5-10 years that didn't exist before. Now, they're kind of like Amazon warehouse jobs. They're brutal, right? And it's not anything negative towards Amazon. It's just, it's going to be make good work.
Right.
And then we're also going to have our own Tennessee Valley Authority, right? Where they had make good public works. We're going to have make good jobs where we may use programs like AmeriCorps just to walk kids to school or just to read kids. We may have to tax robots, right? Whatever it may be, because
Did you just say tax robots?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's going to be displacement. There's going to
Right.
be huge displacement. And as AI gets smarter, the delta is going to get greater until hopefully there'll be new jobs created that cross back over. But there's going to be this displacement period so when you say all assets are starting to go back up, right? I think, if you look at the Fortune 500, the S&P, whatever, and you look at total employment from those companies, it's not going up.
You're right.
It's
You're
going
right.
straight down.
And there's still wage stagnation, which has been perplexing central bankers, right?
And it shouldn't be perplexing.